All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day. Hour number 3 of our 4-hour extravaganza. Cruising along, I tell you, we're flying by here. Got some scoring updates here while we were away. Minnesota just scored final seconds of the first half, the final minute anyway, 54 seconds left. 17-10 over Penn State. Joe and I talked about, which teams might be susceptible to being upset outright. Forget about against the spread, and pointed out Minnesota. They now have the lead. Still getting 2.5 as double-digit dogs to start, but plus 130 on the money line. And Colorado, Joe, put a touchdown on the board. So 20-14 now. Colorado trails by 6. Minute and a half left to go. Second quarter there. Back and forth they've gone. Colorado favorite to going in, laying 3 or so, 3.5. Now getting 1.5 down 6. And then the over-under is 67.5. You got 34 points in that one. So how's your same game parlay doing? And what else do you got on the board for the new listeners and viewers here on the grid?
Yeah, firstly, Penn State versus Minnesota, Scott. We were talking before the break about that one. The possibility of going to overtime. Now, the books have opened up that line. It's plus 850 to go to overtime. Is that enough to entice you to take this one to go to overtime live right now?
Yeah, you know what? That's I would have liked 10-1, but I thought it would be 8, 9, 10 in that range. You're almost through the first half. You got the lead now with Minnesota, but that's okay because Penn State, the team that theoretically is a lot better. So I would take that. Couple nothing crazy, but that's worth a hunch bet. I think 8.5 to 1.
Yeah, I think it is as well. And then looking at my same game parlay, I did take the over 57.5 between Louisville and Pittsburgh. That was the first leg of my parlay. Now, that total has dropped to 54.5. We have seen Pittsburgh struggle to put any points on the board. Louisville leading this one 17-0 right now. Pitt's going to have to do a lot at the half, but we still got time in the second quarter for Pitt to get on the board. I already have Brooks for the anytime touchdown that has come in and cashed nicely. And he's picking away at those receiving yards already with 29 receiving yards on the board. So that one is still in play. We do need Reed to come out here for Pittsburgh and be able to get a touchdown as well, Scott. So keeping my fingers crossed, is not dead yet, but I'm not feeling super confident in it at the moment.
All right. We got a couple of other scores here. Utah State, Joe, scored again. So a game that was 13-0 with 3 minutes or so left to go in the first half is now 14-13, and now all of a sudden the original number of 59-60 or so is back in play, but certainly is your 41-42 that we got in earlier when it was 7-0. So still got a couple seconds left to go. Now they just reached halftime. So Utah State 14-13 over San Diego State, a number that we had mentioned. 55.5 is your now total. And then 3.5 Utah State is favored. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Another one. Not that much defense being played today. Tech leading at 21-14. Final seconds of the first half. Your over/under on that one is 66.5, which is pretty close. I think it was 62, 63 in that ballpark. Two teams that really got to go up and down the field, especially Texas Tech, and they're laying 7.5 on that one. Stanford leads Cal 14-7. That was 14-0 early. Cal responded, but we've gone a little ways here without any more points being scored. Our Citadel down 35-0. Well, really, we got 2. The big one was Wofford, but we threw out the Citadel as well. So Citadel, unlike Wofford, has yet to score. 35-0. They trail Clemson. They're even us 57.5 and an over/under of 62.5. So think about this for a second. 35, that would be touchdown 42, touchdown again 49, touchdown again 56, touchdown again 63. So I don't think Clemson's going to be kicking field goals, right? I doubt the Citadel will, except just to, maybe just get the goose egg off the board. But it's another situation where, it's almost like 2 free bets. It's either going to be Clemson covering the 57.5, but the game going over, or the Citadel covering the 57.5 and the game probably going under. But maybe, just maybe, we get a 56-7 final and you win both bets. I'd be willing to do that. You got a half left. I don't know how much Clemson's going to be, seriously doing in the second half of 35-zip to South Carolina schools, but I'm willing to take the Citadel. like we did with Wofford.
I think we have to here, Scott, because you look at this, at what point does Clemson start pulling those starters out there? Because they do have a big game on deck with South Carolina. They don't want to risk injury of anyone. So I think Citadel will be able to put some points on the board. We did see Texas get another touchdown. Quinn Ewers throwing a beautiful pass straight up the middle. They're leading Kentucky right now, 21-7. Now Kentucky's plus 23.5. Scott, you and I talked about it. Both of us liking Kentucky plus the points. If you don't have a bet, I'd grab them plus a 23.5. It's minus 110. Even with me having Kentucky pregame going into this 15.5, I'm liking Kentucky again to double down on that bet at plus 23.5. I don't think they're coming away with the win here. That would be crazy, but I do think they keep it within that number.
All right. I think so too. I think, they're not going to get blown out. I don't see that happening. So Penn State's got it first and goal, second and goal now. Final seconds of the first half against Minnesota. I did just put in the overtime bet, plus 880 in this game. This is, if Penn State scores here, we go to halftime, tied at 17. That plus 880 on overtime bet, it's goofy. I get that, but we've seen stranger things happen. So I'm definitely going to put that in. I did put that in. West Virginia, 21-7 over Central Florida. We both like West Virginia to start. They're up big. Halftime, laying 10.5, over under 58.5. Nothing crazy with that one kind of stands out. What do you got?
Yeah, I've got something I like, Scott. Okay, we've got Wisconsin and Nebraska at the half. Okay, Wisconsin is down big in this one. They're going to have to get that ball flying through the air in the second half here versus Nebraska. Nebraska defensive touchdown. We saw it last week. They're able to get that defensive touchdown on the board. It's coming in at plus 1,100. For Nebraska pregame, it was plus 850. We've only got a half left, but this is a prime opportunity for a defense to make a huge play here for Nebraska. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. You're right. Down 2 scores. You get one of those goofy, whether it's the quarterback back to pass and fumbles the ball or he just throws a pick six. Either way, knowing that Wisconsin's going to have to throw the ball a little bit here second half increases your chances with that one. So you have only a half to play with, but that's okay. Yeah, for a hunch bet, I like that one. I like the overtime one with Penn State, and I like that one as well, Joe. So I would be tailing you on that one. So
well, yeah, because you look at Locke here for Wisconsin, he doesn't make a ton of downfield plays, and I do think coming into this, it's going to have to happen. So I think the possibility of mistake is high here, especially against a Nebraska team that is used to getting those pick sixes. This is a team that can get them done. I love it. Raiola, has he been turning over that ball, Scott? I wanted to look at his numbers and what he's been doing because Raiola has had those turnover issues, and I wonder if this is a point to look at what he has done as well. Because coming into this, they're only 1.5 point favorite, right?
Yeah.
They're up 24-10. Yeah.
So far, no interceptions today. Anyway, 17-22 for 159 yards. He's had interceptions in every game except 3, the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had interceptions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games. He's been okay this year, highly touted. We wrote about his father and grandfather and everything else, or uncle. But, has he been like a superstar? No, but good enough where he's not going to, be losing his starting job, and good enough where I don't think Nebraska is going to be recruiting your quarterback next year, but not good enough where, he's this superstar and everything else. But just, as a Nebraska fan, like to see a little bit more, but it is what it is. We got halftime across the board. Tasty Hudson will come back and she'll update all the scores and lines and everything else for us. We return here on the Grid.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome into the halftime report for Endgame Live here on SportsGrid TV. The excitement continues to ramp up. The scores are going crazy and some potential upsets going down. Absolutely. You got Arizona State running the ball down BYU's throat, giving them a 21-3 lead over the BYU Cougars, who got delivered their first loss last week. We talked about this being a pivotal point for them to get back on track this week, so we know that they were going to try to bring the most collective game possible to the field, but the Sun Devils are having themselves a time. Putting some things in perspective when it comes to the game leaders, you got Jake Resclaff with 89 through the air, 1 interception. On the ground, it's Marin with only 10 rushing yards. So while they're being run all over, they can't even acquire a sort of run game of their own. Roberts in the air trying to help out his QB with 45 through the air through 3 receptions. Now, going on the other side, Liviet, 96 through the air, 1 interception, an interception apiece for these quarterbacks here. And then Skedebo on the ground, 96 rushing yards, 16 carries, 3 tutties to help with that 21 score. And then Tyson in the air, 81 receiving yards through 5 receptions. So the Sun Devils are putting collectively together one of the top games. We knew they were going to be feeling confident. We knew they were going to be feeling themselves a lot more after last week. And plus, this is going to put them in a conversation for a Big 12 title game. So we'll see how things pick up on the other side of halftime, but right now this is Arizona's game to lose if they come out and change anything that they've done in the first half. And even though their run game's been tremendously strong, they still have the ability to kind of go toe-to-toe through the air as well. That's where defense is a little bit more confident for BYU, but what I just haven't seen is that BYU still seems a little scattered in third quarters, tries to pull through in that fourth quarter, but it could be a little too little, a little too late. A theme that we've seen a number of times. Heading into this matchup, for perspective, the spread was sitting at 3.5 and then 49.5 on the total. And if you saw the score between Arizona, you know a lot has changed in that set. Trying to pick up quickly where these numbers now have shifted to in terms of anything to potentially hop on there live. You've got the Sun Devils up 20.5 on the spread, 47.5 on the total. So total's only jumped down about 2 points, but regardless, that spread, of course, is going to jump far ahead. We have seen BYU have to climb into some tighter games before, but for the most part, Arizona State can take away with this one on the other side of it if they cannot figure out how to stop the run game or at least slow it down when it comes to the Sun Devils and their production. Now, another game we talked about on college football today. I was so excited about it. You guys know I'm a Gophers girl when it comes to hockey, but yes, I still support their football team too. They were coming off of a bye week. That's a huge thing. Fresh legs. We've seen too many close games for Penn State. We've seen them not show up until the second half and then heavily rely on their defense to keep them in contention. And let's just say, this game's gone back and forth for the most most part. They tied things up, they being Penn State, in the second quarter around that 7:50 mark. We thought they were going to click closer to tying things up again, but right now you got Minnesota on top 19-16. Gophers having a majority of control here. Brosmer, 70 through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Taylor on the ground, 50 rushing yards through 10 carries. Daniel Jackson in the air, 48 receiving yards. We talked about who the top targets might be for Brosmer, but I wasn't sure if they were heavily going to go to Jackson. Somebody else to keep an eye on in the mix because he can come up with some good target share was going to be Gears and Mayer. One of the other guys not in was ruled inactive before the game took off today. So we'll see what adjustments Penn State makes after halftime. Again, down 19-16 to the Gophers. We've seen them have strong second halves. We've seen this defense come to life even more, and we've seen them be able to kind of make the proper adjustments in order to take over games and get into the lead. Drew Aller, 159 through the air. Singleton, who we knew was banged up injury-wise for a while here, only 15 on the ground through 5 carries. And then Evans in the air trying to help out his quarterback, 51 receiving yards through 2 receptions. Some of the key things that we look at when it comes to where these teams are making progress. Jumping back over to BYU and Arizona State for just a second. BYU tailing when it comes to offensive possession time. They're sitting at 12 minutes and 48 seconds and compared to the Sun Devils 17 minutes and 12 seconds. Not a bunch of turnovers taking place here, but for the completion rates through the air, really bad looking. BYU 53.3%, even Arizona State is sitting at 54.5%. It's the ground game helping them out tremendously. 114 on the ground in comparison to BYU's 30 overall. A lot of pass deflections coming into play for both teams, so I can see adequate adjustments being made for BYU, but this is going to change a lot when it comes to the playoff picture. We started talking about it last week. Once the AP polls come out and tell us something different, it adjusts up a little bit. So some of these teams that are serving losses at the moment, we could see a different tale. Alabama versus Notre Dame is what we were seeing. BYU versus Ohio State. Ohio State comes away with a big win today. BYU potentially about to fall short to the Sun Devils. Ole Miss versus Indiana. We saw Ole Miss fall to Florida, Indiana fall to Ohio State, and then Georgia versus Penn State. Penn State currently trailing the Minnesota Gophers. So just imagine how some of these things are going to musically chair around themselves and create a different playoff picture by the end of the day. College Football Today will have you covered with the playoff picture with Rich Sermonello. So make sure you stay tuned with us here on SportsGrid TV for all of the college football action. As for the halftime report, it's a wrap for me. Throwing it back to Scott and Joe to keep you updated on odds, lines, and all the other goodies.
All right, Case, I do appreciate that. A nice job there updating all the scores. And she said it, a lot of ranked teams, today either struggling or already losing in the case of Ole Miss and obviously Indiana, but that was a ranked versus Ohio State. So they lost, and now you got a number of teams ranked. Colorado trailing 23-14 at the half, Joe. Colorado being a favorite, now an underdog, 3.5. You do have Texas winning over Kentucky 21-7. We mentioned that, but Penn State we talked about. Easy going for Clemson, 35-zip over the Citadel. But you wonder, is this a precursor to what we're going to get maybe later on tonight? We got Boise State laying 22.5 against Wyoming. Wyoming, the home team, they're really not that good. Boise State's playing for everything, seemingly controlling their own destiny. But talk about big-time numbers. That's a big-time, over 3 touchdowns on the road is not easy to do.
No, it definitely isn't easy to do. So I'd be looking at the points there, Scott. We're seeing these upsets come in. And in one game that we are seeing, Penn State, 4th ranked in the country, Minnesota up at the half, 19-6 or 19-16. So could this be another one? I know we've already taken this one to go to overtime, but I think there's a back and forth battle here. What's going to happen to Penn State if they lose this one here today versus Minnesota? There's so many question marks with the playoffs.
Yeah, you would think that it would be over, right? But you have so many teams that, could be losing today that you never know. If they all lose versus they all win, what's the difference? They're all doing the same thing. And maybe Penn State would be right back in the boat. Looked like Penn State was going to tie the game. They scored a touchdown late, but their extra point was blocked and returned for 2 points for Minnesota. That's why they lead 19-16.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another hour and a half or so, updating all the college football scores. We got a bunch of preview games later on tonight, including Army and Navy at Yankee Stadium. Army, upstate New York is probably about, an hour and a half's drive, maybe 2 hours, depending on traffic from New York City. So you'd think it would be a pro-Army crowd. And while they'll certainly have some support, New York, New Jersey, Joe, if you're familiar with this area, as I am, lived here basically my whole life, this is pro-Notre Dame country. If you want to divide it up, it'll probably be, the military's going to have so many seats, so they'll get some. But I bet it's a 75-25 split. It'll be basically all Notre Dame fans. So that'll be like a home game for them. I do like the Irish tonight. We'll break down some of the later games here in a little bit, but that is one where I got a feeling this is going to be a carbon copy of what happened with Navy. I know a lot of people are saying that, which makes, the time is end up sliding the other way, but I just don't see it. Army is as good as they've been. They played one team with a winning record. That's it, North Texas. And if they lose today, North Texas, they won't have a winning record. I mean, they haven't played a great schedule. So give them all the credit in the world for what they've been able to accomplish. But it's going up against Notre Dame. As Navy found out, complete different ballgame. I think the Irish win big tonight.
Yeah, it's a hard one for me. I don't know on which side to jump on here, Scott, because of that spread. I just look at that spread and I go, could Army get something done in a lower scoring game, keep it within that number? And then I go back to the fact that it's Notre Dame and what we've seen out of this team and what they brought to the table. Riley Leonard has been playing incredible out there. Jeremiah Love, there will be no answer for him by Army. Like, what are they going to do? Unless he's not on the field, I just don't see Army being able to win this. So Jeremiah Love, I'm high on today for his props. But yeah, we'll get into that game later. It's going to be a tough one for Army, that's for sure.
Yeah, got Alabama, Oklahoma will break down a little bit, little Boise, Wyoming that we talked about. So some halfway decent games later on in college football, all starting at 7 o'clock or so Eastern time. So as far as the games in progress, they've reached halftime. Texas kicked a field goal, so now leading 24-7. Kentucky's barely holding on here, John. We had a nice little performance. It was 7-7 in the first quarter, or early second, really. So, doing a nice job with the Cats, but 17 straight points here now for Texas, and they're starting to flex their muscles a little bit. I'm starting to get a little worried with my Texas or my Kentucky plus 20.5. I must admit. TCU starting to pile it on Arizona as well, 35-13 now. That was 14-0. Then it was 14-13. And 21 straight points by TCU, 35-13. They are midway through the third quarter. Lines are all frozen on that. Nebraska.
This TCU team, though, Scott, this TCU team's confusing, right? You never know what you're going to get out of them any given week. They can be either that team that blows someone out or they struggle to just get the win, let alone cover. So, yeah, I don't know what to do with that game live right now. That's 19.5. That spread, it seems like a lot, right, for TCU to be able to cover, but they're rolling right now. Third quarter, they might get it.
Maybe the under. 70.5. What are you at? You're at 48 now, 48, 58, 68. That's 3 touchdowns plus. I wouldn't touch that. You know what? Now I look at it. It says Arizona's got the ball to TCU 19, albeit 4th and 3. They score a touchdown here and then forget about that 70.5. Yeah, we'll pass on that one. That's kind of a no-nothing game. Let's see. Michigan scored a touchdown. Kicking off now 24-6 over Northwestern. Didn't have a great feel for this game. They're laying 22.5. All I did know, Joe, is that Michigan has Ohio State next week. And while this certainly could be a look-ahead spot for them, but they also need one more win to become bowl eligible. They can't count on beating Ohio State next week. So it was kind of like take care of business this week, and then we'll worry about all the hype of facing Ohio State next week. They needed their 6th win, and it looks like they're going to get it. Wasn't comfortable laying, double digits with them. Certainly wouldn't lay the 22.5. But, they're in control, 24-6 with 44.5 as your in-game total. It's the Northwestern team just can't score. Man, they're just not very good.
Well, yeah, and they're going to be frantic out there in the second half to finish out this game because they needed, 2 wins to be bowl eligible? So Northwestern, in their minds, they can't lose this game, but looks like it's Michigan's to win.
Yeah. Louisville scored again, 24-0 late the second quarter. Although I think they were third quarter. It's the second quarter, but I'll double check that. But it's 24-0 Louisville.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was clicking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. College football game day here on the grid. One of our better plays, Scott and Joe, for the next hour and a half till 7 p.m. Eastern time was West Virginia. Again, maybe that's the game I was thinking at the half instead of the Pittsburgh-Louisville game. But either way, West Virginia scored again early third quarter. It's now 28-7 over Central Florida. I thought that line was just weird. There's a lot of weird lines that turn out the wrong way, right way. But, when you see one, I didn't understand why West Virginia was basically pick them at home. I really like them a lot. They need a couple wins to become bowl eligible, senior day and everything else. So 28-7, seemingly in control over Central Florida. Those lines are locked up. Wofford scored a touchdown. Down 21-9. It was 14-9. They went for two for some dopey reason in the second quarter. Just make it 14-10. You're Wofford, for goodness sake. You're worried about making it a field goal game in the second quarter. So anyway, 21-9, we're over the number. We're guaranteed a split, Joe. I know we talk about this, and I'm sure there are people like, who cares, Scott? It's South Carolina, Wofford. But, when we bring it up, this is why we do it, right? Now, if you did it, no matter what you are, $100 player, $10 player, dollar player, you got two free bets right now. And all you're risking is the VIG. So Wofford reached its magic number of 4. They got it. And now we just sit back and hope for a double winner. Wofford plus the 40.5 or whatever it was, and the over 49.5. And the second quarter, we got 30 points. We got a shot here.
Yeah, you absolutely have a shot. It's looking so solid right now. I'm impressed they were able to get the touchdown on the board. I was kind of concerned a little bit that it would be field goals, right? Would still push us over the 4, but nice to see they were able to get that touchdown. So will it spark something in South Carolina? No, South Carolina just wants to go through the motions. They just want to win this game, Scott. So I don't think they're panicked right now with Wofford getting those points on the board. But Texas Tech and Oklahoma State, this one is tied up again. 21-21. We got a spread of 3.5 with Texas Tech, the favorite here, alive on the road. We're starting that third quarter. We've got 13 minutes left in it. 70.5. Could we get to overtime in this game? Was this one of your overtime bets?
Just like the other game with Penn State, I thought so, Joe. I really this is it. And I checked during the break, as a matter of fact, and it's not. Which games did I choose? I know I looked at this game. Maybe that's when I must have looked at the Penn State game, but no, it's not. I got dopey BYU, Arizona State, Colorado, Kansas, and then Wisconsin and Nebraska, in addition to 2 late games. But I thought it was as well, because we take Oklahoma State and Texas Tech overtime games, a lot, because they generally play the early games. But unfortunately not this one. So
live number, though.
What's the number now? Yeah, what's the live number on that?
Plus 550. You willing to jump at that, or do you want more value?
I like that 880, 850 we got with the Penn State, Minnesota one a little bit more, obviously, but plus 550. Where are we? How much time left in the game? Third quarter. Where's the game? Where are you? Where are you?
I know it jumped away from me too.
Yeah. There we are. Early third. Early third. No, I'll pass on that. Watch, this one will go to overtime, but I do like the over. This dropped to the 69.5. You got 42 points. You're at an overtime type of score, tie game. You have basically the entire second half. No one's kicking field goals in this game. It's been nothing but touchdowns. So I would go with the over 69.5. You got 42, so you need 49, 56, 63. You need 4 more touchdowns. It's a lot, but we got the entire second half. I think we'll get that. I like the over.
Yeah, I like the over as well. And Pittsburgh needs to do something here to help us with Louisville, because we're both riding that team total, or the game total, over 57.5. And Louisville is just sitting here comfortable right now, 24-0. Now they are driving down the field. They're 2nd and 9 on Pittsburgh's 35-yard line. So I'd love to see them convert here. The book's thinking they'll put points on the board, because a live spread of 31.5 with them down in this one, 24-31. What do you think of Pittsburgh's defense in this game so far? They're allowing these points to come in, but everyone talks about Pittsburgh is, so solid defensively. This is a defense that does bend, though, Scott.
Yeah. They've given up a lot of points over the last, I shouldn't say a lot, but they've given up, this team was 7-0, Joe. Now, did they beat a whole lot of good teams? No, but, they beat who was on their schedule. They won a bunch of losable games. They won at Cincinnati. That's a losable game. Beat West Virginia, won at North Carolina, beat Cal, which is, giving a lot of teams some fits defensively. Followed that up with a nice win over a decent Syracuse team. They're riding a high life there. They're 7-0. They're thinking national championship, at least get into the college football playoff or the ACC championship, right? And then, boom, they get blasted by SMU, and it's been downhill from there, 48-25. They lose at home to Virginia. I had the Cavs on the money line, 24-19. They lose to Clemson last week. Close game, 24-20, but at home. And now they got 2 games to close out the season, Louisville today and then at Boston College tomorrow. And barring a crazy comeback, they're going to lose again. So, at 1.7-0 and now 7-4, and who knows, maybe 7-5 if they lose next week to BC. So this is clearly not the same team as it was beginning of the year.
No, it definitely isn't. Not pretty there to hear all those stats and how they've really fallen down as the year has gone on. So Clemson has been able to put more points on the board, I think, Scott, since last time we talked about them. They're up now 42-0 over Citadel. So that live spread now 56.5 with Clemson up 42 points. Citadel does have the ball, though, but I don't know, Scott. I need them to put something on the board. I thought at the back end of this game, we would see Citadel be able to cover that spread, but it's not looking pretty right now. Northwestern down 6-24 versus Michigan. Michigan is driving right now. They're on Northwestern's 27-yard line. Live look at that number, 25.5, plus 108. If you think Michigan will win it, but how hard does Michigan go at the end of this game with Ohio State on deck next week? They need that win, and if they are sitting comfortably up, another touchdown here, do they kind of take their foot off the gas, Scott?
Yeah, I would think so, right? It's a senior day. I think it's at Ohio State this year. Let me double check. Sometimes it's senior day. They don't mind racking up the points. Let me see. Ohio State versus Michigan next week is at home. All right, so this is senior day for Michigan, which sometimes can lead to more points, but then it also lead to a bunch of seniors who don't normally play getting opportunities to play. And this would be the perfect spot for that. So sometimes that ends up, stopping the scoring. But I wouldn't, it was an ugly game to start for me. Don't have a good read on it. Wouldn't be laying 25.5, and I certainly wouldn't take 25.5 with Northwestern. If I had to, I'd probably lay the extra 25.5. Northwestern offense stinks. It just, it's not good this year. So BYU, we haven't spoken about this game in a little while because not much has happened. Quick 21-0 lead. It's 21-3. Get nothing out of BYU. They're midway through the third quarter now. Down 18. You're getting 17.5. I grabbed them earlier with the 18.5, so I'm still ahead by the hook at this point. I'm a little disappointed in BYU, Joe. I didn't think they would come out as flat as they have. I didn't buy into last week's one loss, really deflating them. No, they controlled their own destiny, which obviously they still do, but it's not looking good. 6 minutes left to go in the third. They have the football in their own territory, their own 30-yard line or so. Now it's locked up. Something disastrous could be happening. Minnesota's driving.
Are they out?
Go ahead.
BYU out if they lose? Right? They've got it.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
Right now it says Arizona State 21-3, BYU with the ball at the Arizona State 44-yard line, according to my little FanDuel ticker. So maybe they got a little something going. Maybe they got 5.5 minutes left. They got to get even a field goal makes it a 2-score game. So just get on the board and get something like positive going for BYU. Minnesota at the Penn State 22. 11 minutes left to go in the third. Leading by 3. Penn State in trouble today, though. We're coming up.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another hour, 15 minutes or so. We got Colby Dant, the College Experience podcast. You see him in here all the time here on the grid, coming up in about 15 minutes or so. I got one of my TVs on here, Colorado, Kansas. Just saw Shedeur Sanders. He plays a little cocky. How can you tell that watching, right? It just, I don't know. Some guys just like exude cocky, and sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I bring it up, Joe, because he's scrambling all over the place, which give him credit for that. But it's just like a lot of it is nonsensical stuff. And he was about to get tackled a second ago and he just like flips the ball into the middle of nowhere. Obviously, intentional grounding, but it's just like, he's got a little Caleb Williams in him, just stay in the pocket. Throw the ball. Yeah, just, you watch him play and it's just, he's got that attitude. You can tell he just has that attitude. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just, I think the NFL world's got to put him in his place just a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure they will. You get one hit by Joey Bosa out there, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt. It's going to hurt. Maybe put him in his place. But that being said, that cockiness just paid off as Colorado just got a touchdown on the board, making a game of it. 23-21 right now.
Listen, he's a good player. There's no two ways about it. And I would take him if I needed a quarterback. I definitely would. But just, So 23-21. Here comes Colorado down 2 now, early third quarter. So they were down 9 at the half, and now down 2 with the extra point being good. So still at halftime, Texas and Kentucky. Minnesota kicked a field goal. So now our overtime is in we got a 6-point game here, 22-16. Minnesota leading Penn State. Minnesota's still getting plus 112. So it's not great numbers. You still have 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter, Joe. So do you hop on Minnesota, grab a little money line, or, you're getting a double-digit favorite, right? If you forget out, you throw away that it's Penn State and you throw away it's Minnesota, you just take the scenario, and that is a double-digit favorite, and you're getting them basically at pick a minus 1.5 is plus 106. This is the technical scenario where you play Penn State. You willing to do that, or you think
really
Minnesota's really going to win?
Oh, I just have a gut feeling it's going to be Minnesota in this game, pulling off the upset here at home tonight. We're getting plus 128 live on that money line, Scott, and I'm tempted to jump on it. You're right. This should be the situation where you go, okay, Penn State was 11.5-point favorite coming into this game. Minnesota's had their way with them, but Penn State will wake up. We know Penn State has woken up in games late in them and being able to pull off the win, but I've got a feeling Minnesota is going to stop them here today. So plus 148, we keep seeing that value tick up as Penn State is driving down the field. They're 1st and 10 on Minnesota's 49-yard line. So, Scott, they will probably hit the end zone here. So you got to have a lot of faith in Minnesota to be able to answer back, because I do think we'll see Penn put the points on the board. Live total 58.5. We got 22 and 16. So we've got what? 38 points. Can we get over 58.5? That's 20 more points we need. 21 more points.
Yeah, three more touchdowns. Yeah, I think you might get that. You know, it's interesting, and now they just bumped it to 2.5, but I was going to bring up so it's even more evident. But, you know, when it was 1.5, keep in mind they're down 6. So if they score a touchdown, they're obviously going for 1 to take the lead 23-22. So you'd still be laying, you'd still be down 0.5 point. They were making it a 2-score Penn State situation. Now they clearly are having to lay 2.5. Now they got it to Minnesota 39-yard line. I would jump in on that, especially if you took Minnesota earlier, because now it's a little bit of a hedge. You can have Minnesota on the money line, earlier at 2-1, 3-1, whatever you got it at, and now you can get Penn State basically at pick 'em. So I just grabbed them. I took them when they were 1.5. I think in the end they find a way to get the win. I thought maybe originally they would cover the original number, but probably not. But I think they find a way to get the win, Joe.
They really have to, Scott. They cannot lose here in this situation to Minnesota. So we'll need a big push out of Penn State to be able to get it done, but they are still driving down the field. Now 3rd and 8 on Minnesota's 37-yard line. We'll see what Kansas is able to do. Kansas is on their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. So do you think Kansas can come back down the field and answer back on Colorado here? They have shown that they can score on this team. We haven't seen that resistance coming out of Colorado. I wanted to give you a live look at that total and that number. As soon as I start bringing it up, just disappeared on us. So once I get that number, but I do think, Scott, these two teams will put the points on the board. If they're giving me a 56.5, I'll take it to the over.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, back to that Penn State thing, Joe, we touched on this earlier. If they were to lose today, there's two things that could happen. The Big Ten could go from having maybe 4 teams get into the college football playoff, right? Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana. After today, maybe being only 2. Or this brings Indiana back into the fold. Like, I don't think they would take a 2-loss Penn State team over a 1-loss Indiana team. Because Penn State lost to Ohio State, and then they would have lost today to Minnesota. I don't think that would have gotten them in. But worst case scenario, if you're a Big Ten fan, you could have both Indiana and Penn State losing. But certainly, if you're an Indiana fan, you're rooting for Penn State to lose. But if they were both right, if they were both eliminated, then where are you going with those extra bids? Would the SEC get like 5 teams then? It would really throw a wrinkle into all this stuff. And God forbid Texas A&M should lose tonight against Auburn, which a lot of people think that's going to happen. There could be a 3-loss team. A 3-loss team may not get in, but a 3-loss team will be arguing to get in when everything is said and done.
Which is going to be so hard, right? You're going to see that team and you're going to see who they played versus like who Ohio State played, right? Because you look at some of these teams and they've had weak schedules, Scott. We all have to say it, right? Like Ohio State hasn't had the toughest competition where other teams have. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it really will. The thought of 12 teams not causing any debate, just forget about it. It is going to cause so much more debate versus a 4 or a 2-team playoff. Crazy. I will update the other scores. Some more scoring going on. College football game day.
it's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. College football game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another hour and change. Colby Dant, the college football experience, or the college experience podcast, coming up at the top of the hour, giving us some winners in some of the late college football games. A couple of updates here, Joe. While we're away, Penn State turned the ball over, whether it was on downs or a missed field goal or whatever, but they did not score. So Minnesota takes over at their own 20-yard line. I'm guessing that was a missed field goal. Maybe not. I'll double check. But either way, Minnesota leading by 6, has the ball back, 6:23 left to go in the third quarter. Still plenty of time, but it's another lost opportunity there for Penn State. Nebraska scored again. Boy, they're piling it on to Wisconsin, 34-10.
Wow, I'm shocked Nebraska scored again there. But I was going to say, look at the difference in that money line for Minnesota. They were plus like 140 something. They're now plus 120. We did see Penn State drop to minus 128. It's gone back though to minus 156 So 3rd and 7 now for Minnesota. The books have put Penn State back in a nice juicy favorite spot at minus 156. I wanted to jump in at the minus 124, but just didn't have the chance. I still do think though something about Minnesota today and how they're playing. I think this is going to be an upset.
All right, we got a couple good ones here for you. I'll save the best for last. First up, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, now tied 28-all. So the overtime looking good, and the over that we played looking even better. It's up to 84.5 because Texas Tech does have the ball first and goal at the Oklahoma State 2-yard line. They're still midway through the third quarter. I don't think this is ending. Every week, Joe, we have one game, right, that just no matter what number you put in, otherwise you're going to be a loser. So this might be it. Texas Tech just scores. So Penn in the extra point, 34-28. You got 62 points right now. 63 at the extra point is good. And you got 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter. I think we're going to get 3 more touchdowns. I would keep pounding away on the over. I really would. The other good news is our boys in the military, the Citadel, score touchdown against Clemson, 45-7. So another play where we guarantee ourselves the split. Tell you, it's working out perfectly today. There are times every once in a while you do get to be, 45-0 double loser. It does happen, right? That's gambling. But we hit a double winner earlier with UMass versus Georgia. We got a guaranteed split with Wofford, South Carolina, which was looking really good for maybe a double winner. And now we got it guaranteed ourselves a split with the Citadel and Clemson down 45-7 late third quarter. So they're giving us now 45.5 with the line if you want to do it, and then over 61.5 as the total. I mean, you could do it again. What do they got? 52 points. I think the Citadel would need to score 10 more points in order for you to guarantee yourself, or 10 points total, another field goal to guarantee yourself a split. But for the initial bet, you're guaranteed a split.
I could see it happening. I was just looking to see if Kate Klulik was still in for Clemson. He's out of this game, so we do have the backup quarterback in for Clemson right now. And I think Citadel can put some more points on the board, Scott. I think they can go over.
Yeah, especially now that the shutout's gone. If a team has a shutout, we talked about this, then the defense is all fired up. The defensive coordinator is all pumped up. They want to get that shutout. That's like hitting a home run, a grand slam for them. But once that's lost, then it's like, all right, you know what? Senior day, bring all the kids in. Or last chance, even if it's not senior day, knowing you got South Carolina next week. Last chance, guys. You guys all get to play. No big deal. The intensity is gone. So I would do it again. Knowing we guaranteed with the split earlier, we got 50.5 and 56. So we're going to get a split out of that. Do it again. Why not? And maybe we get another double. We'll get greedy with this thing for those that weren't listening or watching earlier. Why not?
What are we going to do if we're getting greedy with that one? What are we doing with the other one? South Carolina versus Woodruff. Where are we going? We getting greedy there too? Or still 28-9.
28-9. Let me see how Wofford. One of these teams was just god awful. Let me see if which was it, Wofford or Wofford was 5-6. Okay, they weren't too bad. Citadel was the one I think that was really, really bad. No, they were 5-6 also. So you'd like to see a little something out of these teams, right? So what are they giving us? Wofford's down 28-9, early third. They're giving us 33.5 and 57.5. Got to do my calculations here real quickly. They would probably same thing. They'd probably need another field goal to guarantee yourselves a split. I'd hold off on that one. They just froze it. So we'll talk to Colby Dant when we come back. College Experience Podcast. It is fun having.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was clicking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't. And neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day here on the grid. Hour number 3, or check that, 4 of our 4-hour extravaganza. Cruising along here with some college football stuff. Let's bring in our first guest, only guest of the evening, a man who gave us a winner, albeit off stage, last night on In Game Live, giving us a double-digit dog outright winner in UC Riverside over Colorado State, Mr. Colby Dan, the college experience. What's going on, Cole? How are you?
Oh, that was fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, you got these Highlanders. Now that game was crazy. I mean, we needed a deep 3 at the buzzer to get it to overtime, but it probably shouldn't have went to overtime prior to that. But I'm doing good, man. It's great having basketball and football, at the same time. So been watching games all day, and just I was on the Florida Gators on the money line today too. So it's been a good Saturday.
Yeah, big dog there in the Florida Gators being able to get the win. 11.5-point dog, Kobe. What were you able to get them on the money line going into that one?
Yeah, I believe it was around, because I took my theory on a double-digit dog is I take the points, and then if I believe they could win the game, I sprinkle the money line. If memory serves me correct, I think it was like 3 and change. I have to pull it up again, but yeah, I mean, and I think I got the worst of the money line. Like, I got it earlier in the week, and that line actually went up. Yeah, but Ole Miss, they're always kind of counterfeit. I was surprised how much they try to hype them up. I feel like every big game, with the exception of the Georgia game, anytime they hit the road, if you look at it, they lost at LSU. They lost in this one. Okay, they beat South Carolina, but South Carolina had their backup quarterback that game. So they're always a little phony to me. So yeah. Anyway, that's I think they've been eliminated most likely.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some of the games tonight. I'll go in reverse order. LSU laying 7.5 at home against Vandy. LSU hasn't lost 4 straight up and against the spread since 1990. They've lost 3 in a row against the spread as well. They're really not playing for anything. I think Vandy is, but how do you see this one turning out?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my logic too, is like, just give me the team that I think will be motivated. I mean, Brian Kelly and LSU, they're already bowl eligible, so they're not going to be playing for that. But at the same time, they're not eligible to make, the college football playoff. And then you ask yourself, does the team want to fight for Brian Kelly? Because every week I feel like he's either throwing the defense coordinator under the bus or the position coach, yelling at his players. I just wonder about the morale in that locker room. And then on the other side of things, you have a Vandy team that's super excited to have won 6 games and want to continue on that path. And Diego Pavia, I know, is kind of he's suing the NCAA trying to get an extra year of eligibility. So it might be one of his final starts of his career if he doesn't win that case. So I think Vanderbilt is the more motivated team. I also think they're actually just a more balanced football team. So give me the points and the Commodores.
Okay, what about the matchup 8 p.m. Eastern? We got Cincinnati taking on Kansas State. Kansas State laying over a touchdown here at home, 7.5-point favorite. Total 53.5. Kobe, what are you liking in this one?
I love the Kansas State angle. Cincinnati's team, they started out somewhat hot, and it's been crumbling. And I think Kansas State's a get-right spot. You saw Chris Kleiman last week after that tough loss, kind of break down about how great he loves this team and how the past 2 losses he's put on him. I think it's a get right spot for them. And well, look, with the Big 12 right now, I mean, as we say this, Colorado's down 9. Arizona State is beating BYU. Who knows what happens with the Utah Iowa State game tonight. So you're not truly out of it yet. I know that they're a long shot to get there, but it is possible. Because they have the tiebreaker over the Buffs if the Buffs were to lose to Oklahoma State next week or something. But I love Kansas State minus the points here. I just think it's a tricky home spot in general, and I also think Cincinnati's a team on the decline week in, week out.
All right. How about speaking of upsets? I know a lot of people seem to think Auburn can do that against number 15 Texas A&M. That line's basically pick 'em, Cole. But A&M at 8-2, laying a 1.5 against 4-6 Auburn.
Oh yeah, I mean this one. I have a Texas A&M future for them to win the SEC, and I also have one to make the 12-team playoff. Coming into the season, I was like, they're going to lose this game because you have Texas A&M next week. I think is the biggest game of the whole season. They haven't played this rivalry in a long time. They're now back in the same conference, and major implications for making the SEC championship game and the 12-team playoff on the line. You saw it with the press conference. Elko's like, I don't want to hear about next week. I'm focused on Texas this week, which, he, obviously they're playing Auburn, but Auburn's played a lot better at home, and the defense has been good. And you look at Texas A&M's passing woes, and the fact they've got the injury bug, multiple running backs out for the year for them. I think the Auburn Tigers win this game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a hard game there for Texas A&M. What are you looking at between Iowa State and Utah? This one kicking off at 7:30 Eastern. We're getting lots of points here with Utah at home, just under a field goal, 6.5 points, total 42.5. Can Utah do enough to hang in this game or possibly pull off that upset?
Yeah, I think they can. I do think they're live. You look at Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson's brother. I thought last week in the loss to Colorado, he did have some moments where he looked like he took a step forward as a young quarterback, and they're at home in Salt Lake City. Iowa State hasn't played in Salt Lake City since the 1970s. So that's a sneaky, tough environment. And then you have the elevation angle. I just think a touchdown's a little too much. And I do think, Utah's got a good culture. They're still alive to make a bowl. They win next week. They're making a bowl. Kyle Whittingham's a good coach. I feel like their team this year, obviously the injury bug has hit them, but also some tough breaks and some close games. The BYU game, they probably should have won. So I think they get up for them, and they only have one home win in conference. I think they get their second one tonight.
Home underdog, the theme of the day. 5-5 Oklahoma getting 13.5. Largest home dog since 1997, Colby, against 8-2 Alabama.
Yeah, this is another one. I like the Oklahoma play here. It seems like everyone I talk to is on Alabama. I don't really understand why they have, more important than national championships, believe it or not, in the great state of Alabama is the Iron Bowl. Kalen DeBoer has never been a part of an Iron Bowl, and I'm sure if you've been to Alabama, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're at the gas station, they're talking about Auburn, Alabama. So that's looming. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a classic look-ahead spot. You're a double-digit favorite, and Oklahoma's had 2 weeks to prep for this. I think Oklahoma's going to put together a nice defensive plan to try to limit Milroe. Venables, that's his specialty. And Alabama's defense periodically has been bad this season. I think Oklahoma's finally starting the right quarterback in Jackson Arnold, even though I know the offense still isn't great by any means, but I think they stay within this number. And it wouldn't shock me if we get to, fourth quarter with this thing tied up or Oklahoma up a little bit.
Okay. And then lastly, what about Air Force versus Nevada? Nevada, a short favorite at home, laying 2.5. Money line is -137 and a total of 44.5.
Yeah, and Air Force has for the past couple of weeks been very good to me. I took them against Fresno in the snow there, but I think Nevada gets it done here. They just had a big investment. Jeff Choate, great hire. I think the energy behind this program is heading in the right direction.
Quickly, UCLA, USC, laying the points or taking it?
Bruins. Give me the Bruins. Deshaun Foster, I think it's personal for him. And I at home, more athletic team.
Colby Dan, College Experience Podcast. Check him out, Colby. Great job as always, my friend. Casting those tickets.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoff.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like...
All right, welcome back in Game Live, College Football Game Day. Thanks again to Colby Dan. Check out his podcast, the College Experience Podcast, college basketball and college football. So just to kind of review his picks, he likes Nevada against Air Force, Kansas State versus Cincinnati, Utah versus Iowa State, Auburn versus Texas A&M, Oklahoma versus Alabama, UCLA getting the points against USC, and then Vandy getting the points 7.5 or so against LSU. So Joe and I will run down these games as well before we leave you top of the hour, and we'll give you our thoughts on those contests. First up, Joe, let's update some of the scores. Colorado did respond after that last Kansas did respond after that last Colorado touchdown. So they now have the football, Kansas, because they stopped Colorado after that touchdown, leading at 30-21. Kansas up 9. They're in the third quarter, 4 minutes left. Look at here, laying 9.5. Over under is 70.5. This, I tell you, this Colorado defense, you said it, Joe. I mean, every single time that their offense has scored, Kansas has been able to get the ball and move right down the field and answer their touchdown with a touchdown of their own.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast they're able to answer it back, Scott. I love that total, 70.5. I think we go over it because I'm looking at Colorado, and I do think once they get the ball back, we will see more points out of them. We've already got 51 points. We got 3 minutes left in the third. Yeah, 70.5 is a high number, but Kansas is going to continue. So it all comes down to, can Colorado put the points on the board as well? And yeah, they can. We know Shedeur Sanders is so strong. With his arm, he can get that ball into the tightest little windows and down to Travis Hunter. I would expect if they're able to pull off the win here, it's something magical between Shedeur and Travis Hunter. They're plus 450 on the money line right now, down by 9 points. Scott, can they come out with the win in this one? They were the favorite going in.
Yeah, I don't think so. I would take the plus the 9.5. And I do like the over-under as well, the over, rather, with that one as well, because I think we're going to get some points. We may get points with Kansas already driving again. And Colorado's good for the by the way, touchdown. So I think we're going to get 3 more TDs, whatever you said and done. I thought we were going to get a touchdown, Joe, out of Kentucky against Texas, but they didn't, and then they missed a short field goal. So 24-7 it remained. Late third quarter there, kind of holding on to our plus 20.5 to start the game. But, man, you can't not convert, that late in the game like that. Even a touchdown would have been nice, making a two-score game, 24-10. But 24-7 it remains. Texas with the football at their own 20-yard line, laying now 15.5, up 17, which is interesting. And an over-under there is 51.5. Penn State scored, kicked the extra point. They lead early fourth quarter, Minnesota 23-22 with 14 minutes left, laying 6.5 now, over under 57.5.
Tight game. That's a really tight game there. It'll be interesting to see if Minnesota can help us put any more points on the board, but they were 11.5-point dogs. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that original number that we got going into this game here. Penn State is 2nd and 10 on Minnesota's 27-yard line, and they might have done something, Scott, because I'm seeing everything no, it's not locked up anymore. You got to lay 7.5 with Penn State. Are you seeing what happened out there, Scott?
No, yeah, it looks like they're showing up FanDuel 1st and 10 now at the Minnesota 15. Okay. So they got another first down, so they're getting closer and closer. I will say, as far as our overtime bet is concerned, they score a touchdown here. They go up 8. Minnesota scores a touchdown. No doubt they would go for 2. So we're kind of back on that. The possibility is there. But, yeah, I see 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 15. So Penn State starting, and now they just locked it. So, chances are they might score here. We'll see. Wisconsin scored, but they're still down 20, 37-17. But that number did go over the 51 that we talked about. And you still got 9 minutes left to go. So no matter what number you got, anywhere close to that went over. BYU hanging around, Joe. Trailing Arizona State now 28-17. And they had the football 4th and 10, albeit at their own 40-yard line. But, they're like I said, hanging around, probably the best way to put it. But they need a score here. Michigan's blowing out Northwestern 38-6, laying 34.5, 10 minutes left. I told you I wouldn't bet Northwestern. They're done. You can put a fork in Pittsburgh as well, down 34-0 to Louisville. Did like the Cardinals. They're laying 36.5. Pittsburgh, there's your shutout game. Right? You always love playing those shutouts. Right? Are they offering that? They are, actually. How about that? Plus
okay. That's it?
Yeah.
Plus 320?
Yeah.
No, I'm not taking it because I've got in the parlay Reed to get that touchdown for Pittsburgh. So I need the anytime fluke touchdown by Reed. So I can't play it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Good news.
What did you see?
Kentucky scored. They must have scored on a defensive touchdown because Texas had the ball. Let me see. Fumble touchdown 24-14. They're showing Texas, but yeah, all right. So Kentucky kicks the extra point. It's good. So that is huge. That's all right. Now we're back in the game. 24-14, late third quarter. Do you have a defensive touchdown for Kentucky today, by the way?
No, I'm kicking myself. I love those defensive touchdown plays, Scott. When I don't have it, I was like, how did I miss that? But Citadel has put another touchdown on the board. Clemson's up 45-14. Look at that. That one going over the total.
And that's now a double winner from the original bet at over 56.5. And you got a touchdown cushion as far as the point spread is concerned. You're at 59. And if Clemson scores, it would be 52-14. You would still cover the 50. And boom, with 9 minutes left to go in fourth quarter. Tell me, man, I love those bets. This week in particular, because all these teams, as you pointed out, Joe, they all have big games next week, all rivalry games next week. So, I mean, the Citadel's right there in South Carolina. Clemson's not going to, purposely run up to score. I mean, you got to have a reason to beat a team by 50 points. Same thing with Wofford, South Carolina. The South Carolina's going to win, but are they going to win by 50 or so? Probably not. They'll take the foot off the pedal and everything else. So, we're in a position to win that one. Let's go Citadel. How about that?
I love it. Scott, for everyone who didn't hear before, what is your theory behind betting this? What are you doing for people?
Yeah, 2 free bets. Make the heavy underdog and you bet the over, and it's basically 2 free bets as long as for one touchdown.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was But he had that program was already going there.
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day. Scott and Joe for another 35 minutes or so, top of the hour. Watching this Kansas game. What is Colorado defense, Joe, just stinks. I mean, I tell you, Kansas had the ball 6 times. They've scored on every single possession, and they're about to score again. They got a second and goal from the Colorado 6-yard line. 13 minutes left, plenty of time in the fourth quarter, but they go up here. They're up 9. It'll be interesting to see that they could make it a 3-score game if they do the wise thing, as I would do, and go for 2. This way, you're leading 38-21. You go for 1, you're up 37-21. That's 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions. This is one of the smart times you go for 2 because the difference, obviously, between a 2 and a 3-score game is huge. You know, so to me, it's well worth the risk. But let them score first. You got 3rd and goal for the Colorado 2. But it's Colorado, like I said, they haven't forced 1 punt so far today. You know, it's tough to make a case for yourself when you can't stop the opposing team.
Well, exactly. And it's funny that you say that, going for the 2 points, because if you would have asked me if I would have thought you would go for the 2 or just go for the 1 because you're up in that position, I would have thought you would have said, just get the 1 point on the board and don't leave anything out there on the field. So that's where I thought you were going, Scott. I would have laid -150 on the no.
No, because 1, the other team hasn't stopped you the whole day. Like I said, not 1 punt. And then 2, to me, it's worth the risk because being up 3 scores in the fourth quarter is huge. It's not ball game, but it is huge. So to me, that is well worth the risk. Versus kicking an extra point. And yeah, you do force Colorado to score 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions, but that's not impossible. Worst comes to worst, you're up 15. And Colorado, in this case, would still need to have at least 1 two-point conversion. So, I would definitely have gone for 2 or go for 2 if they end up scoring a touchdown here. Question is, do you kick a field goal on 4th down? That's, do you make it a 12-point game? That's still, 2 touchdowns you lose. It doesn't matter. They scored a touchdown on 3rd down. How about that? So, 36-21. Yeah, I'm going for 2 here. To me, I'm going for 2. What would you do?
Yeah, let's see what they do, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to write the coach if they don't go for the 2 then. Look at the rushing yards out there. We've seen Kansas rush for 288 yards. Colorado, Scott, 41 yards on the ground only. Shador Sanders making up 26 of those yards on the ground. That's insane. What's Colorado doing? We know they're one-dimensional, but, like, come on. He's only thrown for 206 yards.
Wow. They went for one. Listen, it's not necessarily the wrong move. Just it's a conservative move. Like I said, the defense has not stopped you, and you make it a 3-score game, and it's almost ball game with 11 and a half minutes left. But all right, so they keep Colorado in the game up 37-21. Is Kansas laying 12 and a half. Over-under is up to 68 and a half. So we need 2 more scores to go over that original 70 number. I think we're going to get it. I do. Texas driving. They got it at the Kentucky 18-yard line, up 10, and now it's locked as they close out the third quarter. We'll keep you posted on that. Told you Penn State, I think I did, kick the field goal over Minnesota, so they lead now 26-22 with 11 and a half minutes left to go. It'll be tough to get this one to overtime at this point, but you never know. So Wisconsin scored. You know, this was one of my overtime games. All of a sudden, I think that was 37-10. It's now 37-25. Down only one score with the 2-point conversion is Whiskey. 6.5 minutes, 6 minutes left to go. Nebraska with the football, albeit at the Wisconsin 19-yard line, laying 14 and a half. BYU down 5. How about that against Arizona State?
Wow.
They were down 3 scores. Boy, monster comebacks, into progress here, Joe, going on.
Yeah, if BYU gets the win, they're plus 390 right now live on that money line. Now, I know we lost the best of the number, but they've obviously been able to get the swing in momentum here. We look at that first, the first quarter, Arizona State put up a touchdown. Second quarter, we saw BYU put up a field goal and then 2 touchdowns out of Arizona State. And now we've gone into the second half of this game. Yes, we did see a touchdown out of Arizona State in the third quarter, but otherwise this has been all BYU. 14 points in the third quarter, 6 points here so far in the fourth. Scott, I've got to take a chance on BYU is what we're seeing out there. It's like this team has woken up.
Yeah, where was this team in the first half, unfortunately, for BYU, right? So, yeah, getting almost 4-1, kicking off. Let's see what they can do. Try and force them to, punt 3 and out and get the ball back in pretty good field position. Michigan 41-6, still blowing out Northwestern. 5 minutes left to go. They tacked on another field goal there. And you got Stanford 21-16 over Cal in 4.5. We'll take a break. Joe and I will take a peek at some of the 7 o'clock games right here on the grid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live college football game day. Scott and Joe for another half hour or so. We'll take a peek at some of the 7 and 7:30 late games. Just one last, not one last, but one check of the current games going on. Joe, got Kansas up 37-21. We talked about that. Texas did not score. Well, this game's gone crazy. Kentucky looked like they were going to score. They don't. Then they scored defensive touchdown. Texas had the ball inside the 15 or certainly inside the 20 of Kentucky. They end up not scoring. So down 10, Kentucky with the ball. Early fourth quarter, that original plus 20 and a half, looking pretty good. They're getting 10 and a half now. Over under is 45 and a half. Penn State leading 26-22, but Minnesota with the football, second and goal at the Penn State 8-yard line, 6.5 minutes left. Wonder if they would kick a field goal if they don't score a touchdown. Penn State laying 1.5, over under is 55.5. And Nebraska's got it up 8, second and goal for the Wisconsin 1-yard line. So back and forth, a lot of games. BYU down 5 after being down big. But Arizona's driving at the BYU 38-yard line. So before we look at some of the other games later on tonight, Joe, any of these stand out as far as any bets you'd like to make?
Well, firstly, Colorado's driving as well versus Kansas. So they're first and 10 on Kansas' 32-yard line. So I'm hoping that they convert on this one. That spread live is 10.5 as they are down 37-21. Live total 67.5. That's where I'm going to go. I do think those points are coming in this game. I still do think whatever you can get Kentucky plus those points is a solid way to go. With Texas with a big game on deck, I think this is one where Kentucky gets these extra garbage points at the end. I don't think they end up winning this. I think Texas still gets the win, but we've got 11 minutes and 43 seconds left in the fourth quarter here. We got a spread of 10.5, and I think Texas wins this by a touchdown, not by double digits. So I would go there in that one. Minnesota, Scott, they're plus 420 on the money line. They are fourth and goal. Let's see what they do here. Are they going to kick the field goal? Because they should, in my opinion, but at plus 420, I think they have the possibility. There's 5 minutes left, 6 minutes. Will they get the ball back? Will Penn State be able to run out this clock? Maybe not.
Yeah, that's a close one. If it was at the 1, 2, maybe even the 3, anything inside the 5, I'd say go for a touchdown, but they're at the 8, almost 6 minutes left, couple of timeouts. Yeah, they'll probably kick the field goal. They will. It's funny, that 1.5 spread that was earlier might come into play here. If they end up making this 26-25 and then there's no more scoring, that would really stink. I mean, that's why sometimes it's better to go money line. But I remember at the time, the 1.5 was like minus 105, but the Penn State money line was like minus 150. There was like a big difference. So they kick the field goal. Field goal is good. 26-25 is your score. 5:48 left to go. Minnesota will be kicking off. Doubt they'll do an onside kick. Money line is plus 520. Listen, Penn State would still need at least 2, if not 3 more first downs. So Minnesota defense pretty good. We'll see if they can get the ball back. And if so, then they only need a field goal. So we'll keep you posted on that. Nebraska touchdown. They punch it in. So Wisconsin had cut it to 8. Now it's back up 44-25. And now Nebraska's laying 18.5. So that one thing, for the most part, is done with 3 minutes left to go. Arizona State, here's the thing, up 5 with the football at the BYU 20. But if they hold them to a field goal, now they're only up 8. BYU gets the ball back with 2.5 minutes left, needing a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie it. So if you like that, you can grab BYU right now, either plus the 8.5, minus 120, which is interesting because you'd still be leading if they hold them to a field goal, or you go crazy and take them at 14-1 on the money line, Joe. You know what? I would do both. I'd put a little sprinkle on the 8.5, and they just locked it. So, and I would put even a lesser sprinkle, but I would do it on the money line because if they hold them here, you got a shot.
Yeah, I think you absolutely have to give a shot to that money line there as well. Pittsburgh put a touchdown on the board We have a 34-7 game. Scott, that live total 55.5. We needed to go over 57.5. There's 3 minutes and 58 seconds left in the third quarter. There's time. I still think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I just have to find out who scored for Pittsburgh. Are you seeing who got that touchdown?
Let me see. I'll check here real quickly. Pittsburgh. There we go. Let me go to the box score.
Tell me it's Reed. Come on.
It's a touchdown pass, Yarnell to not Reed. Some guy.
No. Wolfie plays hockey. Can't have a Wolfie out there getting a touchdown.
Yeah, that's not fair. You can't do that. So you're still in the third quarter. You still got 4 minutes in the third quarter. The only problem is your guys are running back, so I don't know how much they're going to be running the ball down, but you never know. You never know. So, Arizona State's got it 4th and 1 at the BYU 11. 2:40 left. Go for the first down, maybe kind of win the game, or do you kick the field goal and make it an 8-point game? You don't make it.
I go for the first down. What do you do?
I would go for the first down.
Okay.
Yeah. You kick the field goal, it's an 8-point game. BYU's offense is, come alive here second half. You've been running the ball successfully. I would go for it too. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, let's see if they get it. The books are thinking Arizona State gets a win. Minus 4,000 that money line is right now. It's crazy. Plus 1,100 on BYU down 505.
They must
what
have
did they do?
Yeah. They wouldn't make it that high, I wouldn't think. So, yeah, you watch. This will flip the first down, Arizona State, or even maybe a touchdown. I don't know, but I'll let you know about that one. What do we got? 2.5 minutes left. West Virginia still up 10 over Central Florida, 31-21. That's looking good. Wofford kicked the field goal. It's 35-12 with 10 minutes left to go. What was the over under? We need some more points in that so we can get. We don't want to split. We want a double winner. What was the over under? Citadel, Clemson. Where's the Wofford one? Over 50.5. All right, so we're at 47. We need a touchdown, and even a field goal wouldn't do it. All right, so we got 9 minutes and change to get a touchdown out of South Carolina. Let's hope we get that.
Still seeing Stanford up over Carolina. I can't believe we're seeing this. Stanford up 21-16. We know this defense has struggled all year, and California has only been able to put up 16 points. Scott, what is happening out there for this team? Talk about points slowing down, though. Utah State hit 41 points for us, pushing us almost over that live total that we got themselves. San Diego State has put up 13 on the board, but I expected San Diego State to do more of their share in this one. They've really slowed down in the second half of this game. But Utah State was, a 3.5-point favorite, 4.5-point favorite coming into this game. But we did get that live total to the over, because going into it, it was 61.5.
Yeah,
so
something like that.
We might not hit that original one, but live numbers.
Yeah. I don't think San Diego State scored in the second half, right? I mean, they were up. Was it 13? Was it 13-0? It was 13. I think it was 13-0. To tell you the truth,
it was 13-14 going into the second half. So we've seen Utah State put up 27 unanswered points in the second half.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Let me go back to the game. It was 3-0. Let me see. I think it was honestly 13-0 San Diego State. It was. Wow. They led 13-0, and Utah State has ripped off 41 straight points.
Wow.
Boy, you talk about just disaster for San Diego. Well, that's why you're 3-7, San Diego State. But all right. So is Utah State, though.
So.
Yeah. All right, Penn State's on the move. They up one, Joe. They have it at the Minnesota 34 with 3.5 minutes left. So if you laid that 1.5, you got some hope here. You're not going to cover the original number, that's for sure. So I will take a peek at the lake as we come back in Game Live. College Football Game Day.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, college football game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe for another 15 minutes or so. We got to do at least one more thing before we go, and that is our best play for tonight from me. We'll get some of Joe's here in a second, but our Black Cloud play of the day. All right, we hearkened back to a couple of weeks ago when we did this same segment, and we had virtually the same thing, and that was over Notre Dame and Navy. Same scenario here. It's over 44, 45.5, depending on what number you got. Army versus Navy. The game's at Yankee Stadium. Weather's not really going to be a factor. A little chilly, but neither team wants to throw the football. It's not windy. There's no snow. I know there's snow in upstate New York and Jersey, but not here at Yankee Stadium where the game's going to be played. I don't know how this thing stays under 45 points. I really don't. Notre Dame could put 45 points on the board all by themselves. So no matter what we get out of Army, it's going to be a bonus. Notre Dame's offense has been clicking, Joe, of late. They've been averaging 35, 40 points over the last month and a half or so. Army is capable as well. Again, I don't think they're going to put up the 40 that they've been scoring. But you look at their scores, Air Force, they put 20. Okay, we'll give a pass on that because they're used to facing that Veer offense. But 45, 44, 49, 42, 37, 24, 42. I mean, up and down the board, they're posting 30, 40 points on the boards. I'm guessing they're good for 17. And then I'm pretty confident Notre Dame is good for at least 30. So, I think the boys in Vegas are completely wrong on this. Whatever your normal bet is, $1, $10, $100, double it. This has got 50 to 20 written all over it. Give me the over.
Okay, I love that you're going there with the over. We know Notre Dame has been able to get those points on the board, and we've seen Army do the same thing. So I love where you're going with that one, Scott.
All right. Well, give me some of your plays. I know you got a bunch for the late games tonight as well.
Yeah, for sure. I did throw together a quick same game parlay between Army and a Notre Dame there. I'm looking for Army to be able to put some points on the board and keep this within that number. So I did grab them plus the 14.5 points. And then when I really looked at it, who I thought would get those touchdowns is where I went. Bryson Daly, the quarterback here for Army, he's strong with his legs, and I do think he'll get that rushing touchdown on the board. That's coming in at minus 115. And when I'm betting these touchdown props, as long as I'm not laying a lot of juice like this one, I will bet it outside of the parlay as well. So that's the only one I like outside of the parlay, because the other two legs, Jeremiah Love coming out here for Notre Dame, he won't be stopped in this game tonight. I really don't see Army finding an answer to slow him down. So looking at Jeremiah Love for the touchdown, the books know it. It's coming in at minus 210 for him to get in the end zone. I still think he does, so I won't bet it outside of the parlay. But with inside the parlay, I'll put it there. And outside, if you really want to bet it, I looked at him for 2+ touchdowns on the board. That was coming in closer to 2-1 to your money. And then Riley Leonard for the touchdown. We know the quarterback here for Notre Dame, so strong with his legs. Riley Leonard should be able to rush one in as well. Again, that's at minus 200. So those 4 legs coming in at plus 730 or 723, Scott, if we go there with those. So I like that same game parlay. I'm also looking at Texas A&M later. I think they get the win here over Auburn. I know people think this is a look-ahead spot, and yes, it is a look-ahead spot with their game next week. We got night game next week, but the thing is, Texas A&M is just so much better than Auburn. I can't trust Auburn to come out here nice and strong and be able to compete with Texas A&M. So I'll lay it with Texas A&M, even though it is a look-ahead spot. I think they win this in like a 2013 style game. And then Alabama versus Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma is really going to step up in this game tonight, but Jackson Arnold, I can't trust him after what we saw last week versus Missouri, where he struggled to put up any yards out there. I'm taking him under for his passing yards. That number coming in at, what is it here? Oh, I can't find it. It's like 128.5 or something like that. Like under his passing yards. I will also take Jalen Milroe to go over his. I'm taking him over 1.5 passing touchdowns at minus 140. Jalen Milroe over 282.5 passing and rushing yards combined. And yeah, Jackson Arnold under 168.5 passing yards. I think he struggles out there to move that ball. Like I said, versus Missouri, he didn't even hit 100. I think he hit, 74 yards through the air. I just don't see it happening tonight, Scott.
All right. I do like your SGP with although I like Notre Dame. I like that side versus the other side. Touchdown Texas, by the way. They went for a 4th down from the 1-yard line. So they're up 17. So it looks like they're going to win that game. So I like the SGP, except I would have gone Notre Dame versus Army. I like Texas A&M as well, Joe. The wise guys that bought this thing all the way down to 1.5. I don't get it. I really don't. A&M is 8-2. They're playing for their lives here. They can't lose theoretically. I mean, maybe they could, but they rely on tiebreakers. They get into the SEC championship game. Auburn's 4-6. They stink. They got their big game next week. 0-10 is Auburn, straight up as home underdog since 2019. So they don't win these games. 6-20. Think about this: 6-20 versus power conference teams. They have just not competed at this level. So they're 4-8 overall going back to last season. I like Texas A&M as well, basically a pick 'em. And I like Oklahoma. You know what? Give me nearly 2 touchdowns. They're coming off a bye. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. They're going to have to keep this one in the 28-24, maybe 24-20 range. And if so, then obviously they're going to cover the spread. You want to give me nearly 2 touchdowns with Oklahoma at home? I know their defense or their offense stinks, but their defense is terrific. It really is. Mm-hmm. Alabama's got some great road numbers as favorites. 47-2 as 2 touchdown favorites. They're almost 2 touchdowns here. 13.5 points, but 47-2, 29-19-1 against the spread. But that's all with Nicky Quick as the head coach. You don't have Nicky Quick, so maybe Alabama wins. Don't doubt that, but I don't think they're winning by 2 touchdowns. I think it's more 20, like I said, 24-20, 24-17. 24-13, something along those lines. So give me Oklahoma plus the monster points. Got a bunch of a few other games, and I'll give you an update on the scores for the games that are in progress right here on In Game Live.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all. Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
And that's your ball game. Penn State gets a first down, 4th and 1. They could have kicked the field goal from the Minnesota 11 with 27 seconds left, but that would have given Minnesota the ball with 23, 22, 23, maybe less than that, obviously after the kickoff. Instead, they go for it on 4th and 1. They get the first down, and that's the ball game, 26-25. So they win. They don't cover, obviously, their original number, don't even cover the 1.5. But they get the victory. They remain alive for a college football playoff. What do they got next week? So they're 10-1 right now. We always talk about Ohio State and Michigan. They finish up with Maryland at home. All right, so they're probably not going to lose that game. So that was big. They lose that one. Game does not go to overtime. Thank you very much. But Penn State does win. So there you go. All right. What else do we got here for you? Arizona State has got 4th and goal at the BYU 39. 38 seconds left. How can that be 4th and goal for the 39? That can't be right, can it? I mean, that would be crazy. 4th and goal for the 39. That's what FanDuel's giving us right now. Yeah, that would be a little strange. That's like 3 penalties of 15 yards. that can't be. 8 seconds left. So I got a feeling Arizona State's going to win 28-23, Joe. 5 point. That would cover the spread. 3.5. BYU made a gallant effort, but they're giving you a line on that. Minus 100, minus 1,000 to 1, and then 40 to 1 on BYU. Let me pop that game on and see that's a weird one. I don't know what's going on over there.
That would be a miracle, right?
Yeah,
I don't see that happening. Christmas miracles happening in November? No. It's too early for that, Scott.
Yeah. Kansas still by 16 over Colorado. 2 minutes left, so that's going to lose. So you look at, I tell you, the standings and the rankings, you got Ole Miss losing. You got BYU more than likely losing. You got Colorado likely losing. It is going to be a shakeup. That is for sure. You got Ohio State winning big. You got Indiana obviously losing. So Kentucky down 17. 3 minutes left, Joe. We just don't want Kentucky to do anything stupid. There's 3 minutes left. You're not going to win the ball game. We don't need Kentucky to go for it from their own 30-yard line, which would set up another touchdown by Texas here, which would mean they would cover the spread. So just get 1 or 2 first downs and then go for it from midfield if you want to. So we got to hold on for that.
think they're going to do something stupid. You lay the 17.5 with Texas because that's plus 430. But you really got to have them do something stupid here. You need the pick six.
Well, it's always possible. I got Kentucky. So whatever that, if I had Texas, no, Kentucky would get three first downs and get an, oh, by the way, touchdown. But knowing I got Kentucky plus the 20.5, it's always possible. It's amazing. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. We said this was the game, right? 56-48, 104 points. Oklahoma State down 8, 2.5 minutes left at the Okie State, midfield. So surprisingly enough, they're giving you plus 8. Oh, it's minus 780. Okay, and no wonder. Some of these bigs are getting like crazy. So you can't play that one. Wofford 42-12. They trail by 30 with 7.5 minutes left, in a position to be a double winner. So, all right, so not too bad. Back to the games, later on tonight. We got a couple here, Joe. Let me throw some at you. Army Navy, we talked about Boise State at 23. We talked earlier about that one. How about Baylor laying 8 at 4-6 Houston? I know a lot of wise guys love Houston tonight. I will say this, maybe the over. Baylor 13-2 over their last 15 road games. They've hit 6 straight overs overall heading into this game, but there's always a but, right? Houston 9-1 under their last 10 games. Any thoughts on Baylor, Houston?
Yeah, Baylor's defense will allow these points to come in by Houston. It's just how many points Baylor will be able to get on the board versus the Houston's defense that leads me to question that total. What I'm going to look at here is I'm just going to quickly look at Houston's team total because, while I think Baylor can win, I don't think they cover that spread. Baylor has a team total of 29.5. I think they hit right on 28. We're getting Houston at 20.5, minus 130 to the over. On Houston, I'm going to hit there, Scott, because I think this is a tighter game than the 7.5. So, yeah, Houston, points over 20.5.
All right. Any final thoughts, Joe? We got about 30 seconds on any plays or how well things went today for you?
Oh, let's just make some freaking money in these late games tonight, Scott. I'm going to be looking for some defensive touchdowns to come on the board. Who's getting it? Which defense do you trust?
Notre Dame. I think the Irish defense scores tonight. And like I said, I love the over in that game. Joe, great job as always. Joe and I will be back tomorrow afternoon, 4:30 Eastern time. We'll do it with Adam Kaufman doing the NFL side.